This is Talkin Hoopz, the show that discusses real NBA stories, gives you all the latest rumors, and gets you into heated debates.
It's dunks and layups. How many of his points have been jump shots? 0.
Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5.
0.
It's not happening. Not in this NBA. Maybe in the fantasy NBA that they're playing it, but not in this NBA.
We're going to challenge each other in practice.
Talking about practice, not a game.
Once the game starts, I mean, it's going to be easy.
You better get off whatever you're smoking.
Strap in, get your popcorn, put your headphones on.
This is Talkin Hoopz.
It's really good to checking out Talkin Hoopz.
Talking Hoopz.
Talkin Hoopz, the official talk show of NBRP in Miami.
Talkin Hoopz starts right now.
Talkin Hoopz, TalkinHoops.com, AJ, Kyle, Mark Strickland with you for the show. NBRPA Miami chapter, NBRPAMiami.com. Check them out. Knicks, Nets, Celtics. Miami is 4-3. Have they lost their step? Pacers, Spurs, Lance Stevenson. Is Danny Granger even a thought right now? Did anybody even know that he's still on the team? Injury update, there's a lot of them. But getting right into the Knicks and Nets, guys. Joining us on the line, former NBA player and New York legendary point guard, Kenny Anderson, to talk about the teams. Kenny, what's going on, man?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me. What's going on?
Oh, not too much. How's everything? What are you up to now?
Yeah, I got a program up here in Palm Beach, man. It's going on now. It's usually 6:30 to 8:30. Primetime sports training. About 15 kids a night, but I got it Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays. So just training these young ballers. That's all. Doing my book, doing my documentary. So this is gonna be a big year for me. So So I'm very excited.
You're really keeping busy over there.
Huh?
You're really keeping busy over there.
Yeah, I have to, man. Idle mind is a terrible mind. Idle mind is a terrible mind. So just trying to get back and get the message off, man. You know, my name of my documentary is Mr. Chibs. That's my nickname. So it's gonna be great, man. Just manuscript of my life. Just telling kids what I had to go through, the obstacles that I had to overcome to get to the point, that I made it all the way to the mountaintops, such as the NBA. And all my negativities also. Some of the negative things I did, along with some of the positive things. So I'm just really going in on myself and trying to pass the message on to some of these young guys out here.
Definitely.
And when is that documentary coming out?
About 8 months. Give me 8 months. Skyscraper film. And we'll put it in the festivals. About 8 months, 8 to 10 months, it's going to come out. We just started shooting it, went back home to New York, going back to Atlanta. That's like my second home, went to Georgia Tech. So I'm going to get that footage. Then they're going to come to Florida. We're going to talk, I'm going to be all over, man. So I'm excited, and, just making it happen. That's all.
Well, we're excited for you, Kenny, and also we're excited for the NBA season, and I'm hoping you've been keeping up with what's been going on. It's been crazy thus far, and especially with the Knicks and the Nets being ranked to be two of the better teams in the East, kind of at the bottom right now. What's your take on everything going on in New York with the Knicks right now? What do you see?
I don't, right now, I played in the league for 14 years. It's just too early right now. It's a marathon, man. The Nets. The Nets right now, they just got new pieces, so they're not gelling like they should. But I know at the end of the day, they're going to be fine. The Knicks, they got a few pieces added on from last year's team, and it's going to take them some time to gel now. But the negative thing we have with the Knicks, with Tyson Chandler going down, he's their anchor on defense. And right now, they just not playing well. And they can't get discouraged. It's just too early. They haven't meetings a week into the season. That's nuts. Having team meetings. You have to have a team meeting first week of the season. You got problems. You know what I mean? So, it's just some of these bad teams that's playing well right now, they'll come down in reality because it's just too long of a season. Some of the young players, the rookies that's having a great start of the season, hopefully they can keep it up. But like I said, it's a marathon. It's a long season, a lot of games, a lot of minutes being played. Just got to take care of yourself and stay focused and leave the distractions alone.
Right.
Now, it is very early, but playing in New Jersey, everything in the New York, New Jersey area gets blown up.
Yeah.
Any little story becomes a huge story. When do Knicks fans and Net fans start hitting the panic button? I know it's early now, but when do you expect things to sort of get righted?
Well, it's early, but you just don't want to fall in them holes. You got to stay above water. You just can't be going on no 5 to 6, 7 game losing streak. The East is too tough. The West is too tough now. I say, a month, 2 months, because after about a month and a half or 2 months, that's the identity. That's probably your team. You who you are by after 2 months, and you could have all the meetings in the world to try to get things together, but 2-3 months into the season and you're still playing the same way, then that's your team. So, I say month and a half, 2 months.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, let me throw this to you, Kenny. So Carmelo Anthony comes out at the beginning of the season, and he really just says that he wants to test free agency. Knicks fans are worried he's going to leave. The Knicks are worried he's going to leave. And then he comes out, says he's going to try and recruit guys. He doesn't want to leave. So that was kind of like a stir, to the season for them as is. But now with a guy like Melo, it comes out that he has problems recruiting players. Not that many people want to play with him based on the fact that he just doesn't pass the ball too much. It's not like LeBron where he really gets his teammates involved. It's much more appealing, I think, to go to a team with LeBron James than Carmelo Anthony. So I guess what I'm going to throw to you is, first of all, do you agree with that? Or when you were playing, would you want to play with a guy like Carmelo Anthony? Would you want to sign with a team like that?
I'm not sure. First of all, I think he's a great player. He's a scorer, prolific scorer. But right now, it's early in the season. He's a volume shooter. He's shooting the ball a lot, and he doesn't get everybody involved. And hopefully he'll change. He'll make adjustment changes so that can happen. But he's been playing in the league 8 to 10 years now, and he's been that scorer. He had that scorer mentality. I don't know. I played with 2 guys, Paul Pierce and Antoine Walker. They shot the ball all the time. They ball hogs. I used to be like, man, can I get a shot? You know what I mean? So, a lot of people don't like playing with guys like that shoot volume shooters like that. But he's a talented player. He can score. I think Stoudemire injury has hurt them. He was supposed to come in and have a great career with the Knicks, and his injuries just affected him. So they just having problems right now. But New York, first of all, recruits itself. That's the mecca of basketball. Everybody should want to play in New York. But the one thing about it is only certain players mentally could play in New York because it's a lot of pressure. It's like championship is the championship or bust. You know what I mean? And the media is tough. You got all type of media coming at you. And a lot of players don't want that. They just can't handle it. So, Melo has dealt with it, and right now it's coming at him all type of ways. And with him announcing free agency, he should have never started that right now. New York feeds off that type of stuff. He should just focus on playing this year. He's a great player. He's going to have opportunity to do whatever he want to do. But he should have just focused. Now they start losing. That's all they're going to be throwing out. Hey, you want to stay here? Your free agency, you shouldn't even have talked about that. You should just like, hey, I'm not talking about it. I'm just trying to focus on this season. But now it's out there, so it's going to be a lot of talk, especially if they don't start playing well.
Right. All right, Kenny, and we're going to leave you with one question with the Nets, and then we'll let you get back to the basketball program that you're running over there. But Darren Williams, slow start to the season. I know it's early, but do you have any words of wisdom? How can he get all these guys on the same page and really get the Nets to start playing well?
Oh, the Nets? I couldn't hear you. What you said, with the Nets?
Yeah, the Nets, Darren Williams, slow start to the season for him. How can he kind of get back on track and get this team back on track and go forward with this season? Oh,
with the Nets, they just got to play, man. Like, all of it, it's a long season. Got to stay together. Got to keep everything in-house in the metropolitan area, New York, New Jersey. You got to stay together. And that was one of my biggest things when I played on some good NBA teams. Just the focus, the big picture. is to win a championship and to get to the playoffs. And it's like a family. And you got to keep what's going on inside your house, inside the house. And just keep playing basketball. Or, staying after, getting shots up, working on your body. So that's what I would say. You just got to weather the storm. You know what I mean? You're going to have a lot of, some games where it's not there, but you can't teach effort. You know what I mean? Effort and hustle, you can always come with that. And I just think all these teams that starting off slow, should just stay focused. And one thing before I go also, I went to the Nets and Indiana game. And I'm just so happy for Lance Stevenson. He's coming into his own.
Yeah.
He's one of those type of players I thought could be a stat sheet stuffer. And that's what he's doing. Scoring, rebounding, assist. And he's coming into his own. And Pacers is just a great team. That's a team. I've seen them play the Nets, and I'm like, wow, that's a team.
Right.
All
right. Kenny Anderson, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you taking the time out, and hopefully we get you on real soon and catch back up with you.
All right, my man. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Thanks,
Ken. Kenny.
All right.
All right, man. That's over.
All right. A lot of good things Kenny said about the Nets and the Knicks. And, I mean, it just goes to show you that, when you're playing in New York, things get blown up, but it is early on in the season. So, fans just got to hold out and just wait for that, for sure.
Yeah, one weekend, man.
If you're a Net fan, then I know it's early, but just due to Kevin Garnett's age, I mean, he's 37. He's only averaging 6 and 6 right now.
Yeah.
And here's one of the guys that you brought in to sort of change the whole complexity of the franchise, bring a championship perhaps to Brooklyn. And he's only averaging 6 and 6. And at 37 years old, you've got to start to question. It's got to become more of, is it his age as opposed to it's still early on?
Right.
At 37 years old, he's gone through his injuries, he's gone through all these years. 6 and 6 is not encouraging numbers. And then you couple that with, a whole new cast of people around him. The Nets I'm way more concerned with than the Knicks at this point.
Yeah, that's true, man. The Brooklyn, thing situation, man, I just feel like they just got to wait till they gel. I mean, Kevin Garnett, 6 and 6, like you said, that's just not getting it done. Darren Williams. I just look at Darren Williams as a guy, man, he's just going to have to pretty much step it up and bring everybody in and kind of be the leader of that team. You know what I'm saying? He's going to have to, talk to Kevin Garnett. I think he can get him easier shots to kind of get him rolling. You know what I mean? Because I know Kevin Garnett, you know what I'm saying, the type of player that he's been, I know his ego is kind of like, wow, I'm just averaging 6 and 6. And then, like you guys said, the New York media. But, Darren Williams is going to have to be a leader. That's why they brought him there. To be a leader, and he's just going to have to lead those guys. Same thing with Paul Pierce. He's just going to have to bring all those guys together and be like, look, we they just got to stick together. Working out after practice.
Is that what you guys did?
Just like Kenny said, they're going to have to do all that kind of stuff. All that stuff brings chemistry. And once you do that, man, then you'll start to see W's form with that chemistry.
And that's, Mark, when you went through that, that's what you were doing. You guys were always hanging out, just staying together. That's what you went through.
Yeah, you just after practice, get shots up, maybe go get something to eat after practice, we would, always do extra stuff, we would go in the weight room, do some extra lifting, work on our body, I would, ask Tim, hey, can you come on me, man, and show me, a certain way, where should I be, where would you like me to be on the pick and roll, I know I'm not a jump shooter, how can I help you, or how can you help me be more successful to get me easier shots? You know what I mean? Those type of things. Just communicating with your teammates. If you communicate with your teammates and get to the point where, everybody is focused on the same, everybody's on the same page. That's what it is. Just like everybody's been saying, it's one weekend, it's early, it's a long season, but, teams are going to have to start to gel before the hole gets too deep.
They also had an interview before a couple of the Net games saying that Jason Kidd really hasn't been coaching. He's still really learning. This is really Lawrence Frank coaching this team right now. Granted, Jason Kidd is on the sidelines walking around talking to guys, but he's doing more what he did on the bench last season for the Knicks, where he was telling guys where they should be on the court, what they should be doing. He's bringing that leadership, but he's still got a ways to go in terms of learning the game of coaching, and that's what one of the executives of the Nets were saying, and that's all they expect from him right now. But right now, it's really Lawrence Frank coaching this team, and I don't know if that plays at all into.
It doesn't make any sense. Why would you, if you make all of these trades to bring in Paul Pierce and Garnett, and you trade away all your assets, that means you want to win now.
Correct.
Why are you bringing in a rookie coach?
No, agreed.
On any level.
A coach that's not even coaching.
Agreed.
He's not even
level.
coaching.
He hasn't coached you, sir. He hasn't coached anything.
When I saw the interview on TV, I was a little surprised that they were openly speaking about Jason Kidd and his role with the team right now. You know, that really surprised me. And I know he missed the first 2 games because of first 2 games, right? Because of the DUI.
Right.
But he comes back and, you know, he's just – I don't know what he's doing in practice, but in terms of the sidelines, they said they're letting Lawrence Frank just coach his team, and he's just really talking to guys, making sure they're in the right places. But this is Lawrence Frank coaching this team. And what was really weird is they said it's Lawrence Frank coaching, but he wasn't the one walking up and down the sidelines when Jason Kidd wasn't there. So I don't know what's going on with the Nets, to be totally honest with you.
You know, I think Jason Kidd, if they really wanted to bring him in, they could have started him at a different slot and brought in a different head coach that he could have A, learned under, and B, gained some type of chemistry with the players. He could have really helped Darren. Like Darren Williams right now is only averaging 10 and 7.
Right.
All right. And Darren Williams is supposed to be an all-star point guard, and 10 and 7 isn't all-star numbers. So, and if he's the leader of your team, those are not numbers that a leader puts up. Okay. So I think Jason Kidd could have really focused on Darren Williams' game, really developed him as a point guard. But when you throw him into the head coaching job and you expect him to take a team that has never been together before and bring them to a championship, it's not going to happen. They're winless on road trips. They're 0-3 on the road right now. Kevin Garnett doesn't look good. Darren Williams doesn't look good. Those are their 2 biggest players. Joe Johnson doesn't look good. He's not the same guy that he was in Atlanta or even last year with the Nets.
Right.
He's kind of taken a step back. You couple that with Paul Pierce's age. Kirilenko is in and out of the lineup. He can't stay healthy. This team is a mess, top to bottom, and it's only a matter of time before every tabloid and every New York magazine and newspaper starts to call for Jason Kidd's job. Kevin Garnett starts to question what Kevin Garnett is doing, and everything will fall. It's like a house of dominoes. You take one away, and then that's it.
You know, and to me, this is not to knock Darren Williams. Look, he's a great player, but the Nets play better when Sean Livingston's running the point guard. He's getting more guys involved, and that's what I saw just from watching them play the Pacers. Sean Livingston's setting up the offense better than Darren Williams. You know, he really is. Darren Williams looking for his own shot out there. Joe Johnson's looking for his own shot out there. I said this last season. You can't have 2 guys at very similar positions doing the same thing. There needs to be a balance. There just needs to be a balance. And when I saw Darren Williams made 1 pass in that game against the Pacers to Paul Pierce in the end, and that was a good pass. That was the first thing I said. Wow, good pass, Darren Williams. All the other plays with him was him creating his own shot, missing floaters, missing fadeaway shots, getting to the basket, not getting foul calls. I mean, that was a problem. That was a real problem. And Joe Johnson had the hot hand. You should be looking for Joe Johnson when you're on the floor with him. That's just how I see it looking in.
That's coaching. That's coaching, though. I mean, the head coach is supposed to be doing that stuff. Like, look, man, hey, we got to move the ball. We got to get other guys involved. Darren, we need you to be a facilitator. I mean, that's the coaching. You can't hire a coach, man, that's never coached. To come on a brand new team, man, and expect them to win right away. It's not going to happen.
Right.
It's not going to happen. Just like Kyle said, that shit was going to blow up. And I give them about a month, and it's going to be terrible. It's going to be the worst team in the league. I guarantee you.
It's going to be terrible.
And it's not and it's not like they've come out and made these big proclamations or projections that they're going to win. But when you look at the roster, it speaks for itself.
Right.
37 years old, Garnett. 36-year-old Paul Pierce. You know, the ages speak for themselves. They traded for these guys to win now. They don't have 3 years to come together.
Right.
They don't have that luxury. So it's now or never. They're not in a position where Wade and LeBron and Bosh are, where if they don't win in their first year, no big deal. They sign 5-year deals. They're all in the prime of their careers. They'll go get it next year.
Look,
it's totally different.
It is early, like Kenny said. It is early in the season, but you got to think, just being a fan and the anticipation for this season, and this is what you get so far. It's not fun. Like from the outside looking in, it's not fun. And I think the other thing that really bothers me about the Nets is they traded away their future. They traded away a lot of young talent, future draft picks, and they got 1 or 2 years to really make this happen. So I don't know. But look, we said from the start that this was, not going to be a championship contending team here. We had them in 5th in the East here. So the fact that they're as bad as they are, that's a little mind-blowing considering the other teams in the East. But yeah, I mean, that was really surprising.
They gave up first-round draft picks in 2014, 2016, 2018. The Celtics also have the right to swap first-round picks in 2017. They gave up Marshawn Brooks in the process. They gave up Chris Humphries, which was an expiring contract. They gave up Keith Bogans. They gave up Chris Joseph. Chris Joseph was the first-round pick in 2014. They gave him up. They just gave up way too many assets of the future, and it's really going to be rough once they start losing in the months of January and February and March. Once these losses add up, if they don't right the ship, it's going to get ugly quick.
Definitely.
And other teams start to jail, it's going to be bad for them.
Yeah. And you look across, the city at New York and the Knicks. And it's not any better because actually they should be doing a lot better because at least they have some type of chemistry. Their core group of guys, Melo, JR, Tyson Chandler, they've been together. Okay? They know Raymond Felton. They know how to play together. They know what to do where guys like the ball. And they bring in Metta World Peace. They bring in Andrea Bargnani. And it's still not working. They're still not a good team. And they may even be
Bargnani is really, really bothering me. The whole, his release, how slow he is, how slow he plays, setting this guy up and taking shots away from Carmelo Anthony like last game. I know they said the Spurs played great defense. Melo took 10 shots last game. He took 10 shots. This is a guy that's putting up 28 points a game. He took 10 shots. 10 shots. Last season, putting up 28 points a game, took 10 shots last game. You got to be kidding me.
That's not on anybody but Melo. I mean, that's Melo feeling the game. If he wasn't feeling, first of all, they got blown out.
I've never seen Melo feel a game like that before. I don't think since Melo's been in the league, I've seen him just take 10 shots and look to pass the ball like that. All right, I've never seen it. I have not seen it, and I think they're so worried about getting Bargnani into the flow of the offense and the system that it's ruining everything they're trying to do on offense because they're trying to get him the ball and get him open looks. He's not going to shoot the ball every single time down the floor, and it's just messing up their offense. It really is, and bad offense, you're taking a 3. It's a long 3. It's missed. That's a fast break for the other team. The other way.
Well, when do they stop experimenting with Melo at the 4? I mean, I know that Tyson Chandler is down and they have to put Bargnani. First of all, to put Andrea Bargnani as a starting center is a travesty, even in a video game. You got to be kidding me. Right. This guy cannot defend or rebound. You're going to put him
7-1, Mark. He's 7-1, Mark.
That don't mean he can play at the rim, right? I mean, size doesn't always translate to skill.
It's a joke.
No. I mean, leadership, though. They don't have no leadership. Even from the coaching standpoint, they have no leadership. Melo's not a leader. That's the thing with the Knicks. They have no leadership. That's the problem, man. When you don't have no leader, somebody in the locker room that's going to get all these things settled, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not.
You need leaders. They need to make trades. They need to change up the roster.
They're going to change up a lot.
It looks like Mike Woodson's going to be in the hot seat right now. Dolan is meeting with him on a regular basis. So I heard actually Dolan has someone following him. Everywhere Mike Woodson goes, Dolan has someone there checking in on his conversations, checking in on everything. So
that's another problem. James Dolan and his issues with the Knicks are well documented, and they're going to keep going. I mean, this guy is guaranteeing wins. He wants which is fine. He wants championships, but that shouldn't get out. He's guaranteeing wins. He's leaving games in the middle of the game. He's saying Knicks dance. He's even saying Knicks dancers can't dance. They shouldn't be dancing. They should just be throwing T-shirts out into the crowd. Crazy. I mean, you got Dolan Woodson's offense has been isolation back with Atlanta with Joe Johnson. You got Bargnani starting at the 5. Bargnani is a career 4.8 rebound per game guy.
7'1", 7 foot 1. 7 foot 1, the tallest guy on the floor.
You can't start that guy at center.
Long arms, too. Long arms.
That was 4 rebounds. Yeah, 4 rebounds is
awful. It don't make any sense. He can't defend. He can't defend the paint, and he can't rebound. Then you put Melo at the 4 right beside him, and no knock to Melo, but he can't defend either. So now you got nobody guarding bigs down low. I mean, if they were to play Detroit, Monroe and Drummond would probably both go for 25 apiece.
Not to mention all the problems that are happening on the court right now with the Knicks, but off the court, behind the scenes, things that happened this summer. Reports are coming out on Yahoo that Chris Smith was only added to the team to kind of guarantee that JR would re-sign with them. That is the only reason this guy has a spot on the roster. So Yahoo Sports is saying. And they said Glenn Grunwald did not want to give this guy a spot on the roster. He's cool with him being in the Summer League. He's cool with him being in training camp. But he really should not have made the team. And the only reason he did was because of J.R. Smith just, I guess, guaranteeing that he was going to resign, and that decision was made from someone above the general manager. So the fact that happened, this team is just, it's New York. Things are going to get out. This is really, and then you bring back Steve Mills. You hire a guy that's failed in the past. You bring him back to an organization that's finally coming out of, the bad times. We're finally seeing the playoffs again, this team. So I think it's kind of crazy, everything that's going on behind the scenes, on the court, and then expecting a guy like Melo to kind of stay with the Knicks this offseason after all this stuff is happening. I mean, there's just a lot at stake here. There's a lot at stake. And I know it's early. I know Kenny was saying it's early in the season. We could say that a million times. It's early in the season. But when it comes to New York and when it comes to these type of situations, I think you got to nip these things in the butt now. Really, really do.
Yeah, if you're trying to win championships, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's for sure something that needs to happen.
That's New York basketball, though, man. It's going to be a long year for New York basketball teams.
Kenny was kind of going against what you said about Melo and Amari. He's going that Amari's injured right now. They need Amari. So I don't know. You're not a believer in Amari and Carmelo.
No, that mix won't work. It's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
No, it's not going to work.
No.
I've already spoke my piece on it, like 9 shows, so I'm going to just let it go.
I feel something about Amari. Here's the thing with Amari is that he's the same kind of guy. He can't defend or rebound either. It's the same problem with all these guys. They have all these bigs that can't defend and can't rebound. That's why when Tyson Chandler goes down, it's like such a huge blow. Like for any other team, mostly, it's like, all right, one guy goes down, you'll have somebody else. There's nobody else to step up. You're playing a power forward who is notoriously soft under the rim to take Tyson Chandler's spot. And you got nobody else. Then you got Amari Stoudemire. And then you want to play Kenyon Martin. He's also a power forward. None of these guys are centers. Why is there no other center on the roster? That doesn't make any sense. Why don't you have a backup center on the roster? Why do you have to play a power forward who shoots 3-pointers to guard the rim? Right. How does that make any sense? It makes no sense. And that's the problem with the Knicks roster. They don't think about these things. It's like, all right, yeah, let's play Melo at the power forward spot because that's where he wants to play. Or because that's where we think he can score the most. No, it's where does he fit in best on the team?
Right.
Okay? If LeBron needs to handle the ball, LeBron handles the ball. If LeBron needs to go down on the block, LeBron goes down on the block. Yeah. It's like, where do these guys fit best on the team? Right. And Metta World Peace is playing really well right now. He should be in the starting lineup. You should have a legit center filling in for Chandler, and you should have Metta World Peace in the lineup somewhere. I don't understand what these pieces are.
Yeah.
It's like a puzzle with all pieces that don't fit. It's like you're trying to put a puzzle together, and none of the pieces are fitting. You're just blocking each other. All right, it's very frustrating.
And now,
it's so easy to see.
And who's next in line if Woodson goes? Who's going to take over as coach? Who are they going to try and bring in now in the start of this season? Who the hell is going to take over for coaching?
That's a great question. And there's some candidates out there. Yeah. What I would have liked to have seen preseason was Patrick Ewing getting an assistant coaching job, because if Woodson goes, Ewing could have succeeded him, and it's not like Ewing is Jason Kidd, where he has no coaching experience and he's going to try to take over a team. No, this guy has been an assistant coach with Orlando. Yeah. Now he's with the Bobcat. He has a track record of being in the NBA. Right. He's a great player. Players work with him. That would have been great. the city would have been in love with the Knicks all over again.
Right.
And instead, you don't even hire this guy. You offer him like a D-League job.
Yeah.
Now he's not an option, and they extend Woodson another year.
Right.
I don't know if I can really see Dolan getting rid of Mike Woodson if the Knicks are not playing well by the All-Star break. I really could.
I could see it happening in another couple of games. What do you mean, like the
No,
All-Star break? It's going to happen soon.
I don't think that drastic.
All right. All right.
Too, AJ, come on.
All right, hey, listen. All right, I've seen a lot of crazy things being a Knicks fan, but all right, let's get away from the Knicks and Nets for a second because they're really not doing that well. A team that is doing really well, surprisingly well, is the Boston Celtics. And joining us to talk about the Boston Celtics is Yahoo Sports beat writer for the Celtics, Warren Shaw. Warren, what's going on, man?
Hey, AJ, what's up, man? Thanks for having me on yet again.
Oh, no problem, no problem. You're hanging, of course, with the great Mark Strickland and Kyle. And Kyle's talkative tonight. So.
Oh, that's what's up. What's up, guys? How's everybody doing tonight?
Good. I like how you say the great Mark Strickland and then just Kyle. There's no, any gravitas around me. It's just like, oh, and this guy Kyle that we found outside.
Right.
Yes.
Well, it's all love for me, Kyle. You know more about that. You are a great Kyle than me, so don't worry
So
about
I'm
that.
glad that you can join us today because the Boston Celtics, who you know since coming on the show last time, we were counting out. I know it's still early, but 4 straight, including a crazy win over the Heat. What is going on in Boston right now?
Well, what happened is kind of how the season started. When they started off 0-4, Stevenson had a lot of those guys playing a little bit out of position. He had Avery Bradley trying to run the point guard. He had Jeff Green trying to play shooting guard. And sometimes that can work if you play guys out of position to create mismatches, but all it did was cost Boston a whole bunch of problems. After the first 4 games, they were leading the league in turnovers. He finally realized that he can have AB, handling the ball, and Green at the 2. And then Sullinger missed, the first game or 2, and took a little bit of time to get himself, kind of together. So in Game 5, when it was against Utah Jazz, they moved Crawford to the point guard position, which to me, I got to admit, I was a little bit skeptical, but Crawford has really turned things around. They're playing Pressey a little bit more. Stevenson decided to extend the rotation and give a lot of guys their opportunity, but more importantly, playing guys in the right position. Now they're playing with pace. They stopped turning the ball over as much. Yeah, and now they reeled off 4 straight, including that miraculous win against Miami.
The way I see it is with a team that really doesn't have too much expectation, why not experiment with everything right now? This is that season that people really didn't expect them to do anything. So the fact that they are able to do that right now, they should just take advantage of it. And whatever's working, hey, it's great. But it kind of makes me nervous at the same time because, at the end of the day, this is not a championship team. And if they're going to try and compete for a solid spot in the playoffs, I don't know if that's the best move for the Celtics with the type of draft they have coming up this summer. So,
what do you want them to fold?
I'm not saying a fold, but at the same time, it's. They turn out to be like an 8th seed in the East. That's kind of the worst position they want to be.
Hey, to me, Boston right now is way worse off than New York or the Nets, and they're playing better than New York and the Nets. So more props to them. I commend Stevens for shaking it up. If something isn't working, he mixed it up. Unlike Woodson, who's staying with the same roster and the same kind of thing.
Right.
I commend Stevens for that. But Warren, what about Rajon Rondo now? When are the Celtics hoping to get him back, and how is he going to impact this team?
Well, there's still no timetable on his return. He got fitted for a brace a few weeks ago and said, he doesn't want to return kind of until he knows he's fully confident and believes in his knee. So, we kind of have to wait to hear what the deal is on that. I still think he's going to be sometime in the middle to end of December. But, again, that's just, I'm not with the team on a regular basis to know and kind of see where that's at. And Danny Ainge and they're not going to be rushing him back. To AJ's point a little bit, everyone does kind of understand that, maybe they're not a championship team, so getting in the playoffs is probably the worst case scenario, but these guys have a lot of pride, man, and that's what it boils down to. No one wants to be here and become Tank City. They're not worried about, the players themselves are not worried about the draft, if you will, so they're here, they're playing for the here and now. But when Rondo comes back, that's going to add another dimension to them, to make them a little bit faster as well, and to make them a very, very tough team to play that, nobody's really going to want to see. But again, it is, like I said, it's not something that, they're not a championship contender in any stretch of the imagination, but they said they're going to be very, very solid throughout the year.
One thing I also like about the Celtics, that Gerald Wallace taking a bench role and accepting it. When you get to a certain age as a veteran and you're able to really, be at peace with that kind of a role and try it, especially if it's working, I give him a lot of credit, and that's also, I think, been a good boost for the Celtics because they did win that game when he came off the bench the first time. So, to keep that going forward, I thought that was really big for Gerald Wallace to accept that role.
Yeah, I was amazed because he didn't take it too kindly at first. He did say something about it. He's like, well, what are we doing here? Because he was starting and he was playing relatively well. But again, to put Green back at his natural position at the 3 and Bradley back in his natural position at the 2, I think there was a move that needed to be made. And now again, it's starting to reap results. As Stevens is kind of be able to play 10 guys deep, and that's something that I said in the very beginning of the season. It was just like, the roster is pretty much the same throughout. The level of talent is pretty much the same. So that's not great for when your starters are in the game, but when your bench guys come in, there's no real drop-off. So when you put Wallace on the bench, he's more or less like another starter, at least for the Celtics would be concerned, and that kind of keeps them in the game. It actually gives them a little bit of advantage, when the end of first quarter, beginning of second quarters.
When Rondo does come back to the Celtics, and I know Celtics fans are excited, but I think just a fan should be excited because when you have a point guard that's as good as Rondo and you just have a bunch of guys that really are just going out there and playing, there's no egos, there's nothing like that involved, it really turns out to be most of the time a success story. I think we're seeing something similar like that in Phoenix with Eric Bledsoe kind of just being the point guard and getting everyone involved. You saw Jeremy Lin in New York when he played there with nobody. Melo was injured, Amari was injured. It was just Jeremy Lin, Tyson Chandler, literally just shooters. And it worked out really well. So I think Rondo coming back to a team that's at this phase right now, I think it's going to be really fun to watch. And they're going to be that underdog story when he does return. They really are.
Yeah, because he's going to change the pace. He's going to change the pace of the game. He's a pace changer. Once he gets in there, he's going to be getting a lot of those guys easy shots with his penetration and all of that. So I think, man, when he comes back, Boston's going to surprise a lot of people.
Definitely.
Yeah. And if I could ask a question to Mark real quick, you've been an NBA player obviously and been on some teams of different varying levels of talent. But what's it like when you're in the locker room and teams or players, not even players, teams, but when the media and everybody's counting you out, kind of like how everyone's counting the Celtics out right now? How does that play in your locker room, and how do you go out and and continue to fight?
It just makes you stronger because you bond together. Okay, they count us out. We got nothing to lose. So all we got to do is go out here and play ball because nobody expects us to do anything. Sometimes that's the best situation to be in because there's no expectations. All you got to do is go out and play a game and be comfortable playing a game. Just like I said, when Rondo comes back, he's going to be a pace changer for them. He's going to be a pace changer for them. There's going to be a lot of teams that can't keep up with them. A lot of guys are going to be getting a lot easier shots. So, when you're in that situation, all you have to do is just play ball. And sometimes that's the best situation to be in.
That's strictly speaking, by the way.
Yeah.
Strictly speaking right there. Heard it from the man himself. No, I think the Celtics, they've surprised a lot of people. They beat Mark's Heat over here, so that was always fun to watch. But I don't know how fun it was for Mark to watch, but it was fun. But I think the Celtics, they're one of those teams that, look, this season's been weird, all right? The Suns are doing decent. The Sixers are doing decent. The Celtics are doing decent. So it just kind of adds to the awkwardness of this season so far.
Yeah. It's been a strange NBA season.
Very strange. Very strange.
Yeah, I would have to agree with all of those things as well. I think for me, obviously, covering Boston and being a little bit close, I didn't expect them to be maybe as bad as other people did. To me, they're about where they should be, which is roughly 500 right now. So I predicted them to be a little bit below 500 before the season ends. I didn't think they're going to be like a 15-20 win team like a lot of people think the Sixers were going to be. So they started off so bad, and now all of a sudden they're really hot. But right now, they're really just a 500 basketball team. Right. But even to your point with Philly and Phoenix, I think those are the two biggest surprises out there. And nobody saw this coming. And the play of Markieff Morris, Eric Bledsoe, and then Michael Carter-Williams and Evan Turner for the 76ers. Yeah. That's just great basketball.
Yeah, definitely. Well, going forward, I guess we wish the best to the Celtics. Hopefully, they finish off strong. But at the same time, I'm just saying, strategy-wise, get a good draft pick. Get a solid piece. Add to that puzzle. Pair him with
that's all they got to do.
That's what I'm saying.
Add one or two pieces to that puzzle, they back in the top.
I don't know what GM said it, but they said a GM came out and talked about tanking, and they said they were going to tank this season, but we don't know who it is because no one's really tanking. So if it was the Knicks, then I'd agree with that, but it definitely wasn't the Knicks. So
Well, let me just before we move on from the Celtics, I want to ask Warren what the chances are he thinks that when Rondo does come back, the Celtics look to ship him, because if they are looking to tank and they are looking to get more draft picks and get further, next year and the season after, then Rondo would have to be a part of a deal to get some type of first round deal. So is Rondo a possible moving piece?
Well, with Ainge, you never really know what the guy is thinking. So I think we discussed it slightly, the last time I was on. And he's a guy, when there's actually a trade going to happen, you really don't know when it's going to be. So all this, rumors and talk about Rondo potentially getting moved, it is just that for right now. So they're going to wait for him to come back, assess his health, and then that's going to be, that's going to also determine if other teams are going to be interested, because they want to see what exactly they're getting for him if they do put a package together. There's a couple teams out there who have multiple draft picks in the 2014 draft, so it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But as of right now, they said they want to keep him. They want to build around that guy. And again, he's not a bad piece to have. Obviously, an all-star elite point guard in the league is something that every NBA franchise needs to have. So you don't just give that away. So again, we're going to have to wait to see what happens when he comes back, prove he's healthy, and then see what the teams might be able to offer him.
All right, Warren Shaw, Yahoo Sports beat writer for the Boston Celtics. And thank you again for coming on the show. We really appreciate it, and we'll catch up with you soon for sure.
Thanks, Warren.
I appreciate it, AJ. Man, Kyle, Mark, you guys have a great evening. Enjoy the rest of your show, and I'll definitely talk again soon.
All right, enjoy Seattle, man. Enjoy Seattle. Do something crazy over there.
Yeah, man, it's pretty cool. Just checked out Safeco Field, and going to be going to San Francisco from here on out. Going to go check out the Warriors Thunder game. So NBA, man, I love it. Got to check it out.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Warren, always a pleasure. We'll catch you on the rebound, man.
All right, you guys, take care.
All right.
All
right. So hey, you got your take right there on the Boston Celtics, and believe me, Warren knows a little something or two about what he's talking about. So, but I think there's one thing about the Celtics, and when he talked about trading Rondo kind of accepted the idea of him being a leader for this team this season, and kind of just being the guy. It's his time to man the ship. Take the keys to the ship. Paul Pierce is gone. Kevin Garnett is gone. It's really in Rondo's hands to be a leader now, and I don't know if he really wants to leave Boston. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't think so. Why would you want to leave a team? Now you're going to be a man. You went through all of those steps to get to this point. You came in, and then you're dealing with Garnett, and you're dealing with Pierce that's been there for so many years, and then you go to all of a sudden, okay, now it's Rondo's team, and then you get injured, and now when you come back, it's still your team, and you don't have those other pieces, those older pieces. You have younger pieces, man, that you can help develop. Why would you want to leave that? I mean,
maybe he don't want to be a part of a rebuilding thing. Maybe he wants to be a part of a contender and not a rebuilding team. I mean, even if they get 2 first-round picks in this draft and another 2 next year, I mean, that's a lot of rookies, and you got to work with them, and then you got to hope that when your contract is due that you get that extension from them. I mean, Garnett and Pierce, they got the easy way out. They got to go to a good team, right, or supposedly a good team, and Ray Allen got an easy way out, right? He left and went to Miami, and we know how that story played out. Maybe Rondo sees them and wants to follow that type of path. There's plenty of teams. Look, he's not going to find a shortage of teams that are interested in his services.
Oh, cool. No, definitely.
That's true. Yeah.
So
but I think, like Boston, I think he should just stay there, man. I mean, why would he want to leave there when you're the catalyst of your own team? You're running the ship.
Right.
Yeah, you're running the ship.
I mean,
well, that's up to him. I mean, is he going to chase the championship, or is he going to stay loyal and try and help out his team?
He has a championship already, so it's not like he's so eager to get one. It's not like a guy like Carmelo, where he's dying for that ring.
Yeah, but right. Mark, look, as a player, right? I mean, if you win, I mean, I know like your story, you haven't got a championship ring, but if you win a championship ring, you're not going to be content, right? You're not going to just say, all right, I got that one. I'm cool with my career now. You want more, right? I mean, you never want to just stop.
Yeah, that's true. But, I mean, he knows the building process. I mean, he was there doing the building process before. So, I mean, here it is. He has an opportunity to bring another championship to the city of Boston and be kind of like a folk hero there.
Exactly. I mean, look, the Celtics are rebuilding for a reason. They're not rebuilding just to rebuild. They're trying to win another championship. They're trying to get back to the top. So by him staying with a team that, maybe he has another shot here, or he feels he has another shot, I don't see him leaving. I just don't. And he likes Brad Stevens. They apparently got a good relationship going. So you know, I obviously Rondo hasn't played yet, so we'd have to see what happens when he's on the floor and how he's utilized.
Yeah.
But it's documented from the summer. They have a good relationship.
Yeah, that's a start. I mean, anytime you have a good relationship with your head coach, that's a good plan, because you have the head coach and your star point guard that's on the same page. And when those two are on the same page, man, the sky's the limit.
Definitely.
So they're working together to obtain one common goal. It's not like you have a guy that's looking to leave or putting it out there that he might want to leave. Like when you get along with your head coach, it's like Tom Brady and Belichick. I mean, you know, it's the same thing. When you have a good relationship with your head coach, it kind of helps the chemistry of the whole team.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll talk about two teams that have not necessarily had struggles this season, and that's the Pacers and the San Antonio Spurs, playing like in attack mode every single game.
Spurs every year, man. Spurs every year. Under the radar, always win.
They really, seriously, they know what they're doing. Well-oiled machines right there, both teams. Stick around, Talkin Hoops, talkinhoops.com. Kyle, we'll be right back.
Don't foul out. Talkin Hoops will be right back. I'm Mark Sanchez with a message for women. This is the actual sound of my heartbeat. I'm sharing my heart to let you know that the symptoms of women's heart attacks can be different from men's. Please learn more. All it takes is a few minutes of your time in return for years of healthy life. That's a deal even my agent couldn't negotiate. Cover your heart. Learn more. CBS cares.
The new free CBS radio app streams your favorite CBS radio stations, as well as all your favorite AOL and Yahoo music stations directly to your iPhone, iPod Touch, and BlackBerry Bold. With 30 genres of professionally programmed stations at your fingertips, you can hear whatever you want, whenever you want. Stations like K-Rock, 1010 Wins, WFAN, AMP, and over 600 others. Now you can easily take your favorite stations with you on the go. The CBS radio app is everything you wanted from streaming radio and a whole lot more. Go to cbsradio.com/mobile to download your app today.
This is AJ, and you're checking out Talkin Hoops, where you can hear the true legends of basketball. If you missed any of the action from today's show, you can find a full episode on talkinhoops.com or youtube.com/talkinhoops. And don't forget to follow @TalkinHoops on Twitter and give us a like on Facebook for all the latest around the league.
This week's episode, Bobcat in the Cave.
Gosh, Johnny, playing in the cave sure is neat. Oh boy, a kitty cat. Sassy, the kitty cat's yelling. What, Sassy? It's not a kitty, it's a bobcat? Speaking of cats, you'd like to stress the importance of adopting cats from animal shelters? Over 5 million cats go into animal shelters every year? Millions of healthy cats to choose from. It's a shame more people don't adopt from shelters. This bobcat's heavy. Help, Sassy! Why bother? We'll just get into more trouble tomorrow? What's that supposed to mean? Oh, nuts!
Sassy is brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org. Remember, adopt.
My dream is to become a mechanical engineer.
My dream is to be a ballerina.
My dream is to be a veterinarian.
I want to be a chef, truck driver, a teacher,
a shoe designer,
professional skateboarder.
But right now,
I'm just a kid.
Just a kid.
I'm just a kid.
I'm just a kid ready to be adopted.
Ready to be adopted.
I'm just a kid ready to be adopted. For the facts about adopting a child from foster care, contact the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption.
Hey guys, this is AJ. Want to talk more hoops? The greatest show is overtime. Check out talkinhoops.com. Catch you on the rebound.
Welcome back to Talkin Hoops.
About 15 players in the team. 14 get along.
Now here's a guy who likes to dunk.
On an 8.5-foot rim. Take it away.
And we're We're back talking hoops, talkinghoops.com. AJ, Kyle, the great former NBA player Mark Strickland. We're going with it, Mark. I love it. NBRPA Miami chapter, nbrpamiami.com. Check them out. But getting back into the show, the Indiana Pacers, the San Antonio Spurs, they're balling out of their minds, both teams. The Spurs looking like they should be looking. The Spurs really looking like, the former defending Western Conference champions, I guess we'll say.
Leadership, man. They got Popovich as a coach, man. They got Tony Parker. Same thing, like I told you before. The relationship between Pop and Tony Parker, man. I mean, you got that type of relationship. Plus, this team does it every year. Every year, this team just stays on the radar. It just wins games and wins games. Nobody talks about them. Nobody ever mentions them about winning the championship, but they just go out and win games under the radar. And I think that's the way they like it.
Oh, they have to. But I got to say, something about the Spurs, they can win 20 straight, and just no one cares. No one cares that they won 20 straight.
Yeah, I know. Man. I don't know why people don't like the Spurs. I guess a lot of people say they're boring to watch, but they get W's. That's all that matters. They get W's.
The Pacers are a good story. The Pacers also, like, their team, I feel like that'll win 20 straight. People be like, yeah, the Pacers, but it's not like when the Heat win 20 straight and there's all these highlights and alley-oop dunks and Wade and LeBron going nuts. I feel like it's more ESPN highlight material coming from Miami as opposed to the Heat. I mean, the Spurs, they said they had 7 alley-oops in the last, 3 or 4 years. So
it's fun to watch, man. I mean, they get done. They just play so late. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna stay up late to watch the Spurs, but they'll stay up late to watch Golden State. Those type of teams where you get in, a faster paced game.
Right.
With San Antonio, man, I mean, it seems like they're on a mission. Indiana, they look like they're focused to win the championship. I mean, they've been there a few years in a row now, and they got to beat that monster, that Miami Heat monster. It look like they're focused in doing that.
I know we talked about the MVP dark horses early, I think it was last show, the show before that, I think Kyle, who'd you go with? Steph Curry, Kyle? You went with Steph or Chris Paul? You went with Chris Paul, but the dark horse was Steph Curry, right?
No. My pick was Chris Paul.
Right.
And my dark horse, I believe, was James Harden.
James Harden. Well, I said Steph Curry. Kyle said James Harden. But I think a dark horse that we all counted out here was Paul George.
Yeah.
The Pacers play like this. If the Pacers do as good as they did last season, I think he's a serious candidate.
Yeah.
Roy Hibbert said he wants to win Defensive Player of the Year. And then he went on to say, you best believe Paul George is winning that MVP. And he's playing like it this year. I mean, he came on last year. Look, last year he took over face of the franchise from Danny Granger. Yeah. This year he's trying to take over face of all NBA franchises and be the face of the NBA. Dude is averaging 25 points a game, 7.8 rebounds, 3.6 assists. Pacers are undefeated. Plays phenomenal defense on the other end of the floor. You want to talk about two-way players? He's one of the top 5 players in two-way basketball. Him, LeBron, Chris Paul. You can put them all in that category. Yeah. He's on a mission. And the Pacers are so good, you don't even realize the guys who are on their team. I mean, they got Luis Scola, who's one of the greatest players to come out of Argentina. And you don't even know this guy's on the roster because they're just so good. Danny Granger hasn't played a game yet, but who cares? Lance Stevenson just dropped the triple-double in his place.
Yeah.
And one guy goes down. This is what we were talking about earlier. One guy goes down for the Knicks and Tyson Chandler, and it's like the world is ending. The Pacers don't have their quote-unquote best player for almost 2 years now, a year and a half. Right. They didn't have Granger last year. They don't have Granger yet this year, and they just win. It doesn't matter. They just win.
Well, they're well coached, too. They're well coached. They lose Brian Shaw. They bring in Nate McMillan, who's a great defensive coach. That's the USA defensive coordinator, I guess we'll call him. And, their defense is showing this season. They're just all around a good team. They look for good shots. Hibbert's looking for the right kind of shots this season. He's being more assertive. I like that. He's being the Hibbert we saw in the playoffs every game this season. I like that.
The Pacers are first in the league in defense. They're only allowing 84.5 points per game.
Nate McMillan, man. Nate McMillan. Hats off to Nate McMillan.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Coaching, man.
Coaching. Mark says it every show. Coaching,
man. Coaching. You have to have good coaches on that sideline, man. You got to have defense and you got to have leadership. And what they have is they have everything. They got bigs, they got perimeter guys, they got guys when somebody goes down, they step up. I mean, Lance Stevenson is even playing smarter. That was his only thing. All he had to do was just play smarter. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think like Indiana's on a mission. They're on a mission to beat. They got to beat that Heat monster though. And I think if they do beat the Heat monster and get to the finals, Paul George will get MVP. Have to.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Oh,
has to.
Even if they don't get to the NBA Finals, though, if they finish with the best record in the season, I mean, they still get MVP.
They got to get to the finals, man. They got to get to the finals. They have to beat that Heat monster. They have to.
I think they're better than the Heat this year. I think they're better than the Heat. Look, the Heat have struggled, and not only struggled, but struggled against bad teams.
Defensively, they've been not very good. And while Wade has looked very good this season, I mean, a lot better than I or a lot of people would have thought that Wade would look now, after all the years and the injuries. Even though they have that going,
right,
they just don't look good. I mean, they dropped that game to Boston. They haven't looked good against bad teams. And I'm not confident with them going forward. And I know that's exactly what they want to hear, right? That's exactly what LeBron wants to hear because he's fed off that his entire career. It's, right. He's not good enough to get it done, or they're not as good as people think they are. And he eats that. And that's what he wants to hear right now.
Yeah.
But right now, if the Pacers can get the Heat to play their kind of game, they're not winning. Like a defensive struggle is going to go to the Pacers. I mean, Miami would have to run the score to Indiana to not compete. Because Indiana, I don't think, is built for that type of run and gun shootout type of game. If it gets into a shootout, I'm not confident they can swing with a team. Yeah. But they force everybody to their level, and they've been a second half team. They haven't looked good in the first half of games, but then in the second half of games, they just run away with the score because they just lock you up.
Let's get away from the Heat. Let's get away from the Pacers Heat for a second. How about, let's say, Spurs and Pacers in the finals? If that was to happen tomorrow, who's taking that series?
Pacers.
You like the Pacers still? I mean,
they're deeper, they're younger, they're more athletic.
But these are two teams that are just well-oiled machines. Seriously, just well-oiled machines. They're both, granted, I think Popovich has a little more experience than Frank Vogel. But
that's coin toss, yeah. Coin toss to me, yeah.
But
you can't pick a team that, man. I mean, both teams are playing really well. Both are good defensive teams. Both teams move the ball. Both teams are playing.
They play similar.
Unbelievable right now. Like it's a coin toss with them now.
Let's fast forward. Let's fast forward to the finals, right? Let's fast forward all these months and go to the finals. I look at it as this. That's a full season of games under Tim Duncan and postseason games under Tim Duncan's belt at his age.
Yeah.
That's the same thing for Manu Ginobili, who struggled mightily with injuries last season.
Right.
That's two key components on the team that have to go through an entire season and an entire postseason, then have to play the Pacers. The Pacers are young. Paul George hasn't even hit the prime of his career. Lance Stevenson hasn't hit the prime of his career. Roy Hibbert hasn't hit the prime. They're still just about to get into that peak. I mean, they're still walking up to the top of their mountains. Everybody on the Spurs, outside of maybe 2 or 3 guys, are over the hill. Outside of maybe Danny Green and Kawhi Leonard, everybody who's a major contributor on that team is at the top or falling down. Everybody in the Pacers is still going up. All their key contributors. You mix that in with just all of their talent. I mean, they're so deep. Like I said, you have Skoll on the team, you don't even know it.
Chris Copeland
on the team, you don't even know it. Well, no, whatever.
But the Pacers, the problem with the Pacers, they always had a quarter where they couldn't score. That's been the problem. Now they go in the first half, they starting off slow. You can't start off slow with a lot of teams, man. You can't give them a quarter or 2 quarters where you're playing from behind all the time. And that was the problem last year. They always would go a quarter or go a stint of time where they couldn't score.
Yeah.
So you can't do that against good teams, especially against good defensive teams or good veteran teams. Are they going to take advantage of that?
Yeah, I could see.
That's my only gripe with the Pacers.
All right. Well, look, one guy that's injured on the Pacers, Danny Granger, add him to the long list of injuries this season. Kyle, as we're wrapping up the show here, why don't you break down the injuries that we got so far?
We got Larry Sanders for the Bucks. He may be out 6 weeks after thumb surgery. Huge blow for them. He only played 3 games. He wasn't having a great year to begin, but they need him. He is their rock. He's their face of the franchise. They gave him extension, so now he's out. We know about Tyson Chandler's broken leg. JaVale McGee also now has a leg fracture, so the Nuggets now struggling. Danilo Gallinari is out. Wilson Chandler may be making a return, so the Nuggets have to sort of weather this storm here. J.J. Hickson got a start at center the other night. He played very well. Got a nice posterization dunk on Marvin Williams.
Let me see.
So,
I think we could pull that up here real quick. I think we could
pull it up. You got Steve Nash. He's dealing with nerve damage in his back still. He's probably going to be out 2 weeks. That's a huge problem for the Lakers. What the hell is going to be going on with Nash all season? Is he going to play in back-to-backs? Is he even going to play at all? They got to deal with that. So a lot of injuries going around the league. Ryan Anderson for the Pelicans, maybe he'll be back within a few days or a week, after he had a slight chip in his toe. And here's the video right here of this monster. I don't know if you saw this, Mark, but this dunk is insane. Just a complete posterized right there. Just obliterated him. So, you got a lot of injuries going on around the league, a lot of big players. Kobe maybe will be able to get back at it in 2 weeks, 3 weeks' time. Still waiting on him. Harrison Barnes just recently made his return back for the Warriors, so that's a big boost for them. But still, a lot of teams dealing with injuries. Danny Granger may be coming back in a week or two. A lot of contenders still waiting on their big players to come back.
Definitely.
So anxious to see Danny Granger. See how that works. So anxious to see that. I'm curious to see how that's gonna work.
Listen, it's been a weird season so far. Right? Honestly, any team at this point can beat any team on any given night. That's really what it's looked like. So, still a lot more to go. Still got like 75, 76 games left here, people. So, a lot still to come from that. But it's been fun. It's been a fun ride. Special thanks to Kenny Anderson coming on the show. We'll talk to him soon. A lot of great stuff. And shout out to his boy Lance Stevenson. NBRPA Miami chapter. NBRPAMiami.com. Special thanks to Warren Shaw. And for AJ, for Mark Strickland, for Kyle, and everybody who's sick over there, you guys. We'll catch you on the rebound.
Until Talkin Hoopz comes back into play, stay connected by getting at us on iTunes. Keep up to date with all the latest basketball news and rumors, and check out all our shows by logging on to TalkinHoopz.com.
Catch you on the rebound.